worked late every single night. The clock would always tick past midnight, and there he'd be, bathed in the cold glow of his monitor. 1 a.m. became his new midnight. He told himself it was just work, that the deadlines were real, that he was being productive. But that was a lie. The truth was, he stayed because he couldn't bear the crushing silence of his empty apartment. Here, in the office, the low hum of the computers, the rhythmic whoosh of the air vents, the buzz of the fluorescent lights. It was a symphony of machinery that sounded almost like company. It was a predictable, mechanical, and safe kind of quiet. He liked that. It never changed. Until one night, it did. He'd just returned from a trip to the vending machine, the cold can of soda sweating in his hand. As he sat down, something on his screen caught his eye. A new folder. It was right there on his desktop, stark and out of place. The name was simple, Rec 1M. He frowned, trying to remember creating it. He hadn't. But when he hovered the mouse over it, the details popped up. Date created tonight. Time created 1 minute ago. A chill colder than the can in his hand crawled up his spine. Curiosity, a dangerous and primal thing, won out over his better judgment. He clicked it open. Inside, there was a single audio file. Voice, Reverend One Oav. His heart began to beat a little faster. Was this some kind of prank? One of the daytime staff messing with him? He put on his headphones, the worn foam pressing against his ears, and double-clicked the file. The progress bar started to move. At first it was just static, a soft, grainy hiss that filled his ears. He almost closed it, dismissing it as a corrupted file. But then, underneath the static, another sound emerged. Breathing. Slow, steady, and unnervingly close. And then, a whisper. A woman's voice. It was calm, devoid of any emotion, which made it all the more terrifying. It was a cold, flat whisper that spoke a single word. His name. He froze, his own breath catching in his throat. He ripped the headphones off, the plastic clattering against the desk. The office was silent again, save for the familiar hum he usually found so comforting. He looked around wildly, his eyes scanning the rows of empty desks, the darkened cubicles, the glass walls of the conference rooms. There was no one, just the endless rows of sleeping computers and the faint reflection of his own wide-eyed, pale face staring back at him from the darkened windows. He was alone. He had to be. He took a deep breath, his heart hammering against his ribs. A prank. It had to be a prank. He turned back to the screen, his hand trembling slightly as he reached for the mouse. He closed the folder, wanting to delete it, to erase this bizarre moment from his mind. But something made him hesitate. He had to know. He opened the folder again. His blood ran cold. Now, there were 2 files. The first one, Voice 01 Wav, was still there. And right below it, a new one, Voice 02 Wav. The timestamp confirmed it had been created just seconds ago. He felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Against every instinct screaming at him to shut it down and run, he moved the cursor. He pressed play on the second file. The same static filled his speakers, followed by the same cold, feminine whisper. But this time, it had a new message. It said, "You shouldn't have listened." He didn't just yank his headphones out this time. He threw them, but the voice didn't stop. The whisper wasn't just in his ears anymore. It was coming from the computer speakers, then from the air vents above him. It seemed to echo from every corner of the empty office, a disembodied sound that was everywhere and nowhere at once. The overhead lights began to flicker, casting the room in a strobe-like frantic dance of light and shadow. He scrambled back in his chair, his eyes darting around the cavern of empty desks. "This is not real," he whispered, the words a desperate prayer. "This is not real." And then, a new voice joined the woman's whisper. It came directly from his computer speakers, a perfect, chilling mimicry of his own. It repeated his words back to him. "This is not real." Suddenly, the office fell into a terrifying silence. The constant hum of the computer fan died. The soft buzz of the lights went out, leaving them in a steady, eerie glow. He looked up at the clock on the wall. The second hand was frozen. 12:03 a.m. He was trapped in a single silent moment. And then, on the screen, a new file blinked into existence. Voice 03 WAV. Before his hand could even reach the mouse, the cursor started moving on its own. It slid across the screen with an unnatural smoothness, hovered over the new file, and double-clicked. The file opened. He braced himself for the woman's voice, for his own voice, for something. But this time, it was different. It was a whisper, but it felt like it was coming from inside his own head. It was his voice, but not his. It was a version of him, calm and knowing. And it said, "This is the frame before it happened." A wave of nausea washed over him. He shoved his chair back, stumbling to his feet. What was happening? The monitors on every desk in the office flickered in unison. They flashed once, a brilliant, blinding white, then plunged into blackness. And on every single screen, a single line of text appeared, glowing in the darkness. "Next recording, live." Panic seized him. He lunged for the power strip under his desk, his fingers fumbling for the cord. He ripped it from the wall with a grunt. The monitor should have gone black. The whole room should have been plunged into darkness, but it wasn't. Everything went dark, yes, but the glow from his screen remained, an impossible, defiant light. And in the corner of the monitor, a single, tiny red light pulsed steadily. Recording. He backed away from the desk, his eyes fixed on that blinking red dot. And then he heard it, a new sound cutting through the silence. Footsteps down the long, empty corridor leading to his section of the office. They were slow, measured, unhurried, and they were coming closer. He stared at the glass door at the end of the hall, his heart pounding in his ears. Through the frosted glass, he could just make out a faint, shifting silhouette. "Who's there?" he whispered, his voice cracking. There was no answer, only the soft, rhythmic sound of footsteps drawing nearer. Then, a sharp buzz from his desk made him jump. His phone. It lit up the darkness. One new message. It was a YouTube notification. A chill, deeper and more profound than any before, settled over him. The notification read, "Your video has been uploaded." Shaking, he picked up the phone and opened the app. The video was right there. The thumbnail was a live shot of his office, of him standing there, right now. The title of the video read, "The Frame Before It Happened." Before he could react, the video started playing on its own. And there he was, on the small screen of his phone. He watched himself sit in the same chair, listen to the same ghostly whispers, his face a mask of dawning horror. He was watching the last 10 minutes of his life, playing out on a loop. He tried to close the app to turn off the phone, but it was useless. The screen was frozen, the video locked in place. The cold, disembodied whisper spoke again, this time from the phone's tiny speaker. "You see now?" He didn't answer. He couldn't. He just watched the red recording light on his monitor, the one that was also blinking in the video on his phone. It blinked slower and slower until finally it stopped. The screen went black, silence, a complete and total absence of sound. It was heavier, more terrifying than any noise he had ever heard. He stood there, frozen in the dark, waiting. Then, softly, the voice returned, whispering from the darkness all around him. "You created this." A long, terrible pause hung in the air. "Now, you'll keep it alive." And on his desk, the monitor flickered back to life. The desktop appeared, clean and empty. And then, a new folder blinked into existence. Rec 1 a.m. It was 1 a.m. again. The recording had started over, and this time, he was part of it. Forever. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss another late night recording. Stay safe out there.